When you think of India, you might think of tech or Bollywood or amazing food. But it's also the undisputed king of milk. It produces more than any other country on the planet. But here's the thing. Inside this massive empire, a quiet war has been raging for decades.
And no, this isn't some story about international trade rivals. This is a civil war. It's a battle between two homegrown giants, fighting for the hearts, the minds, and yeah, the breakfast tables of over 1 billion people.
Okay, to really get what's at stake here, you have to wrap your head around the sheer scale of it all. 22%. That's India's share of all the milk produced in the entire world. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just a market. It's a Milky Way galaxy of opportunity and, of course, competition.
So, who are the fighters in this war? Well, in one corner, you've got Amul, famously called the taste of India. And in the other, Mother Dairy, a name you'll find in pretty much every household. What's so wild is that they were both born from the same incredible movement, but their paths have put them on an absolute collision course.
All right, so how did we even get here? To really understand this rivalry, we've got to rewind. We're going back to a time when India was really struggling to feed itself, and one single, powerful idea changed absolutely everything. It was called Operation Flood, but you probably know it as the White Revolution. And look, this wasn't just some boring government program. No, this was a massive, monumental movement. It empowered millions of rural farmers, connecting them to a national grid, and creating a whole self-sustaining economy right from the ground up. It was, and I mean this, a total game changer.
And right here, this is where you see their core DNA, right? Their very essence. Amul is a true cooperative, owned by the farmers themselves. It started as a rebellion against those pesky middlemen and grew into this huge institution. Mother Dairy? A totally different story. It was created by a government board with a social mission practically written into its code from day one. So you've got two completely different models, both springing from the exact same revolution.
So let's walk through how this all played out. First, you got farmers in Gujarat getting fed up with being exploited. They organize, and boom, the Amul Cooperative is born. Then, Operation Flood kicks off across the whole country, creating the perfect storm for this cooperative idea to just explode. And finally, the government steps in and creates Mother Dairy for a very specific job, to get milk to the massive, sprawling cities like Delhi.
All right, the stage is set, the foundations are built, and these two titans, born from the spirit of cooperation, were now heading straight for each other. It was only a matter of time before they started to clash. And boy, did they clash. Just listen to this quote from the Economic Times. It says, Amul beat Mother Dairy in packaged milk in Delhi, which is Mother Dairy's home turf. Just imagine that. It's like the challenger marching right into the champion's fortress and taking the crown. This wasn't just business competition anymore. This was a declaration of war. But this war wasn't just being fought in Delhi. Oh no, Mother Dairy fired right back. They took the fight to Mumbai, which is Amul's butter stronghold. They started strategically undercutting Amul's prices, trying to chip away at their massive 86% market share. And for you and me, the consumer, well, this meant price wars on things we buy every single day.
So, let's look at the tail of the tape. How do they really stack up against each other? Amul's biggest weapon is its insane brand loyalty and that huge network of farmers. Mother Dairy's strength? It's that they sell a ton of different stuff, not just dairy. But of course, they both have weaknesses. Amul is getting a run for its money in the ice cream aisle, and Mother Dairy's social mission, well, it's great, but it sometimes ties their hands, making it hard to be as ruthless on price as a purely commercial company.
But here's the thing. This battle isn't just about who's cheaper or who has more market share. The real war, that's being fought in the R&D labs and on the supermarket shelves. It has turned into a relentless arms race of innovation. Just take a look at this. They're both pushing way beyond just plain old milk. Amul's getting into organic foods, high-protein stuff, and even fancy experiences like international ice cream lounges. Meanwhile, Mother Dairy is coming out with things like probiotic drinks and frozen ready-to-eat meals. They're basically trying to own every single part of your shopping cart. And trust me, they are putting some serious cash behind this race. Amul is investing a staggering 3,000 crore rupees. To put that in perspective, that's about $360 million every single year just to expand and upgrade. That is a massive, massive bet on the future. But, it's not just about how much money you spend, it's about how efficiently you use it.
A deep-dive financial study actually found a big difference in how well each company turns its assets, its factories, trucks, the whole shebang, into cold, hard sales. So the battle isn't just in the supermarket aisle, it's being fought on the accountant's spreadsheets too.
So after all these years, decades, of battling it out at home, you could say this intense rivalry has been the ultimate training ground. It's perfectly prepared them for an even bigger challenge, taking on the rest of the world.
And this is where things get really interesting, because it reveals this stunning paradox. India, the #1 milk producer in the world, has, get this, a tiny 1% share of global dairy exports. 1%. Just compare that to places like Germany or New Zealand. The gap between what India makes and what it sells to the world is enormous. And that gap, well, that's a colossal opportunity.
If you look at where India's dairy exports go right now, it's pretty regional. Key products go to neighbors like Bhutan and Bangladesh, and hey, that's a solid start, for sure. But it's a long, long way from being a true global powerhouse.
And that path to global dominance, it is absolutely packed with obstacles. First, there's a bit of a trust deficit. International buyers worry about quality and consistency. Then you have all the regulatory hurdles, the insane labeling requirements. You've got to compete on price against players who get government subsidies. And, of course, there's the constant pressure for super stringent quality control.
So for Amul and Mother Dairy, the prize couldn't be clearer. After basically conquering India, the only frontier left to explore is the entire world. Their long domestic war? Turns out that was just the beginning.
And that really brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Has this fierce, decades-long rivalry forged them into true global contenders, ready to take on anyone? Or will the world's biggest milk producer just remain a giant, but in a single land? The next chapter in this incredible milk war is about to be written.